Yeah. I will hand over to Matthew. Matthew is past president of the CODE, the Council of Ontario Drama and Dance Educators. And also he's the vice president of the General Meeting Council for IDEA. So he will be the host for the next session. Basically, we'll have presenters from Brazil and Canada. So Matthew, now it's in your hand.
Amazing. Thank you, Miaobin, and thank you, Miaobin and Dunya and everyone for all your hard work. I actually, being in Canada, it's only 11:20 here right now, and so I logged in a while ago, but I was like, whoa, that's a lot of hours of work already have taken place. So that's amazing. So our first presenter, who's already got their camera on, is Wanessa P. Machado, and Wanessa is a Brazilian PhD student in education management and communication in biosciences, here to present Now I Read It Like a Novel, Theatrical Approaches to Biochemistry and Teaching. Pass it over to you, Wanessa.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Good morning or good afternoon or good night, depending on where you are. My name is Wanessa Machado. I'm from Brazil, from Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. So this is the work I'm going to present. It's called Now I Read It Like a Novel, Theatrical Approach to Biochemistry Teaching. So for introduction, I'd like to talk a little bit about scientific literature, which is, according to PISA, the ability to engage with science-related issues and with ideas of science and as a reflective citizen. A scientific literate person is willing to engage in resonant discourse about science and technology, which requires the competencies to explain phenomena scientifically, evaluate and design a scientific inquiry, and interpret data and evidence scientifically. So if you look at Brazil, we have like here a very high, somewhat high public trust in science. But if you go to the data of PISA, which relates to students, we have a very low performance in science. And this is very concerning. And in fact, like I'm pointing about Brazil, but this is a concerning, like a global concern. So if you take this citation from European Parliament, we have this, considering the emergency threats relating to the spread of misinformation and disinformation and the influence of anti-scientific movements, fostering scientific literacy among the population has never been more essential. So my work is about this. And we have two major problems about approach to science. We have two different myths. One of these is the ideology of objective truth of science, where people see science without any subjectivity, and also the ideology of special truth of science, which has to do with how people think that there are no controversial about science. And also the fact that how people see science and scientists. So according to Leopold de Mays, he has a work that deals with the second myth, and he worked with the student perceptions of science education and also student perception of art. So we have the science perceptions as science made of by male persons, male scientists, and something very boring and black and white, while art is seen as something colorful and fun, and also is seen as something distant and inaccessible. But there are still few students who have good performance on science, and this happens when you have practice and context into action. And well, we are in a Drama in Education conference event, so of course I'm going to talk a little bit about one way that you can put practice and context into action, which is pedagogical theater or theatrical pedagogy. You have some different names, or drama in education. So it is, which is dramatic techniques across different subjects. if you take a citation by Theatrical, which is a founder, one of the founders of drama in education, we have this: theater as a privileged space for experiential learning in which students are invited to play an active role in constructing knowledge. So by incorporating theatrical pedagogy into science education, it becomes possible to create learning environments in which students do not merely listen to or read about science, but they act as scientists, dramatizing hypotheses, experiments, and even the ethical and social dilemma related to scientific practice. So we worked with the Biochemistry Institute. She worked with dentistry students in the university, and the theme was about bioenergetics. So I'm not the teacher, the professor gave the directions that they would divide into groups and pick a topic for a physical role play. What's a physical role play to the ones that are not familiar with it? We have some like biochemistry concepts, and they have to act sometimes like a cell or like a proton, electrons. So they have this role play to put something that's really abstract into their body to make it more concrete. So they worked with theoretical lessons, and in the last minute some theater games. In the 7th class, they wrote a script, which was reviewed by the professor and tutor. The 8th class, they had the rehearsal, little rehearsal and the presentation in classroom, and then the last class, a traditional test, and then they received the link for the second survey. The topics that the professor worked with the students, I'm not getting to the detail. And then had the survey. And just to make clear, like this professor, Ana Maria Landeira, she was the professor responsible in charge of the class. And I was the one that's like, for 2 years ago, we worked together in her classroom. But this specific classroom, I was not working with her. She had another like theater tutor, but I was the one that worked with her before and also made the survey and analyzed the data. But in this time, I was not in the classroom. So the survey was divided into 6 sections: demographic data, free association, motivation in the classroom, activity, teaching and learning methodologies, art, theater, and education, and teaching practice. So this is the results that we had for the free word association. So we divided it into 4 different categories, because we had this stimulus phrase, which was doing theater in your classroom, and the students, they had to write down 5 words, the first 5 words that came to them about this stimulus phrase. So we had qualities, which was related to characteristics, relation to art, theater, social dimensions, creativity and innovation, didactic aspects, active methodology, advantages of theatrical pedagogy, personal challenges, structural challenges, and skill needs or goals. Then if you go one step behind and take the themes, because there were some of them that they were really very like frequent and with a very high weight. So we divided it, and we have like this saliency, which takes into account not only the frequency but also the way. So we had the relation with art and theater, the highest saliency. We had the didactic aspects in the second one, the social dimension, and then in the qualities we had like creativity and innovation, like a very high one. So we decided to put them separated. So the main findings: students naturally feel moderately motivated to engage in academic activities, but they feel slightly motivated to attend traditional lecture-based classes, and perceptions indicate a predominantly traditional curriculum. Answering about which aspects made them feel more motivated, we find the top 4: lessons delivered with comprehensible content teacher enthusiasm class with active student participation, and practical class where they can apply knowledge acquired. So 33 would like to participate more actively in class, and 17 already participate a lot. But it's funny because like was the first survey, and 50% of the students, they are not active and they want to remain so. But you see, like in the result of the second survey, they were so motivated and engaged, even though they didn't want to be more active. And 80% think that theater could be used in 1 out of every 5 or 8 class. So the main finds of the second survey, we have a perceived motivation of 69%, that they felt more motivated compared to other subjects. And in identification with the methodology, the majority evaluated the experience as positive and valued beyond the biochemistry courses, which is they saw that it could be applied to other courses. And they reported gains including theater group, cohesion, better understanding of abstract concepts, and development of confidence and communication. And still, there were some challenges, which was regarding preparation time and presentation anxiety, although it was outweighed by perceived benefits. So if you take the data from the first and the second, we have this a little bit higher motivation. If they look at to this specific subject and the others, which are more traditional ones. Also, they had positive expectations mixed with insecurity, a broad adherence and recognition of theater pedagogical value in the post, fear of improvisation exposure, replaced by greater confidence and collective participation. The motivation, as I told you, they went to 69%, and acceptance of theatrical pedagogy extended beyond the biochemistry. And theater not only made abstract content more concrete, but they also strengthened bonds, confidence, and student agency, and confirmed potential as an effective, active methodology in science education. So we have here some pictures, and these are some sentences that went out, we took from the formulary. I was able to learn biochemistry while having fun. I never thought learning biochemistry could be so fun. So we have the conclusions, which we already talked a little bit. So we had moderate motivation and traditional methods seen as less engaging, mixed expectations, creativity versus fear and shyness. This in the pre, and in the post, we had this 6-9 higher motivation. The benefits we talked about, and the challenges, which had to do with time demand and presentation anxiety. And to finish, the title of we go back to the beginning of the presentation is the title. Now I read it like a novel. It was like a sentence from one of the students that they were finally studying biochemistry with pleasure and with a smile in their face, and they were reading like a novel. So thank you very much. That's it. Thank you.